Hello, this is Dr. Oishimaya welcoming you all to a new episode of the People of Nature podcast. Today we have with us a very special guest, Utsow Pradhan, an eminent environmentalist, forest gardener, and the founder of TIEEDI from Darjeeling, West Bengal. Utsow managed to achieve what many of us just dream of doing, following our heart's call and doing what our heart says. Leaving behind a thriving, stable corporate career in Hyderabad, Uso returned to his roots, his childhood home in the Darjeeling Hills, to start something anew. He was sad to see the crumbling Himalayan ecosystem all around him. The Darjeeling of his childhood was fast vanishing, and he wanted to do something to get it back. So he founded TD, or Take It Easy, Easy Does It, in 2016 and launched a revolution, one like none other before, but one that was so needed, the Zero Waste Andolan. TD Uso's dream project is an environmental conservation organization practicing permaculture, which he describes as the art of working with Mother Nature. Today, Uso and his brilliant and passionate team at TD are working hard to restore the degraded ecosystem in Darjeeling and beyond and have made significant progress in this direction. His work is an inspiration to those working to resolve the Himalayan crisis, where our major mountain ecosystem is at risk of so many threats, including climate change, deforestation, expanding urbanization, unplanned development, biodiversity loss, and more. So let us go to So now and learn about TD, permaculture, and his vision and mission to protect the fragile Himalayan ecosystems. Welcome to this podcast. So it's a privilege to have you here.
Thank you, Dr. Oshimaya. It's an honor for me to be part of your podcast.
Thank you. So let us go directly to the questions. And for that, we need to go back to the roots, your roots. So please tell us about your growing up in the Darjeeling Hills and how was the Darjeeling of your childhood?
Darjeeling, as I remember,
Mhm,
one vivid memory that I have is of spending a lot of time playing outdoors and
mhm,
especially in the lap of Mother Nature. Like,
mhm,
for example, we used to have winter holidays in Darjeeling, which used to
mhm,
span across 3 months: December, January, February.
mhm,
And I think most of the days we used to be out playing in this river called Husel Khola in Kashong.
mhm.
And I
Okay.
remember like spending the entire day there, like playing with my friends and
Mhm,
also going to the forest, so those
mhm,
activities of going fishing, going crabbing, and
mhm,
uh, just or maybe even foraging for
mhm,
wild fruits or chestnuts. And so I
mhm,
remember that most of our time was outdoors till the time our
mhm.
mothers literally had to pull us by our ears and take us back home. So
Okay.
that's
Hmm.
one vivid memory that I have of growing in the hills of Darjeeling.
Okay, that's wonderful to know. How was the place back then? Like greener than what it is now, or like how was the hills, the landscape back then?
I think more than greenery, what I
Hmm.
remember is it was very biodiverse.
Okay.
So um,
Mm-hmm.
uh, every um, sense that we have
Hmm.
as humans,
Hmm.
whether it's sense of sight, smell, or taste, was
Hmm.
accentuated back then, right? Like,
Okay.
for instance, if we go and smell a wildflower, it would, like, I remember
Hmm.
the fragrance to be very strong. Or even
Hmm.
things like someone would have picked up a dalle pickle, or sorry, a dalle chili, and kept it
Hmm.
in the dining room. The whole
Hmm.
house there is dalle in the house.
Wow.
So the sight, the sound, the smells, and the
Hmm.
taste, everything was um, at a different level altogether. Right now, everything is subdued. So
Right.
the
Right.
number of birds that you listen to is lesser. The number of
Hmm.
butterflies, bumblebees, what you see
Hmm.
is much lesser. Even the
mm,
insects that you see at night when a
mm,
light is on is again very, very depleted. So yeah, so those
mm.
are the challenges that we see, that is affecting the world at large, and even in a place like Darjeeling that's very biodiverse, it is causing a lot of issues.
Right. So it's a very beautifully described what you just said right now, because I think all of us, if we compare our childhood with now, we all would feel this, that all the sights, sounds, smells, they've all decreased from nature, what came. I did not hear anyone else talk like this, but it's beautifully described. Yes. So after that, so you have seen then Darjeeling evolve over the years. So right now, like as you mentioned, all this is like subdued a lot. So why? What triggered this change in the hills?
I think the so-called
Yeah.
notion, or I would say the false notion of development, that
Hmm.
stems from the fact that we believe that consumerism and building more roads would entail
Hmm.
one form of a civilization to be developed. So I think that is what has caused us to distance ourselves from Mother Nature. So
Hmm.
that is primarily one of the reasons. But I think we are going through a very unique time. I don't
Hmm.
even I don't even think it's right to say civilization, but in the Earth's history itself, now we are talking
Hmm.
about a 4.5 billion year history. Okay, we are
Hmm.
going through a very unique time where after 65 million years, we are going
Hmm.
through a mass extinction. So our
Okay.
generation is witnessing something called a sixth mass extinction, and the last
Yes.
time that it happened was like 65 million years ago when we lost the dinosaurs.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's like yeah, it's a global problem, and yet it's localized to a great extent
Hmm.
in Darjeeling because the Eastern Himalayas is supposed to be a very, very biodiverse, very rich
Yes.
uh, place.
Yes, yes, indeed. Indeed, it's one of the most beautiful places in our country, and of course, it's a biodiversity hotspot. So, so you have seen Darjeeling change. In between, you were not there in Darjeeling. You left for your work,
Mhm.
so to Hyderabad, and you
Right.
had a stable career there. So then, why again did you return to Darjeeling? What made you return? What triggered that return?
Um, I think for me, a couple of reasons. One was, and I think both were actually personal, where my folks were getting old, and I wanted to be
Hmm.
close home to them. Okay, so
Hmm.
so that was one primary reason. Second was I had been working outside with various startups
Hmm.
across the cities in India, and I had a great time doing that.
Hmm.
But then I'd reached a stage where I wanted to do something on my own, my own
Hmm.
startup. Tried, so it was
Hmm.
a very conscious decision to move out and look out to see if there is something that catches my interest that I can deep
Hmm.
dive again into
Hmm.
building something.
Hmm. Right, right. Yes. And so I mean, it's good that you came back because Darjeeling's people and nature needed you. So you started TD, right? So what triggered you to start TD? Why the name? And what is your mission and vision for TD?
So, so TD is
Yeah.
actually inspired by this brilliant book by again a lady who's done tremendous work in the social sector in Ladakh. Her name
Hmm.
is Helena Nordberg from Sweden. So she'd done a documentary called Ancient Futures: Learning from Ladakh. So early on in my journey, I was very influenced by the documentary, which was set almost pre-liberalization days in India, 19 early
Hmm.
90s, and
Okay.
it was questioning whether the model of development that we've chosen in India of opening up our
Hmm.
economy and making it part of the global wave of consumerism, whether
Hmm.
it actually is leading to human happiness or not. So
Hmm.
that was a documentary that was questioning that. So it was
Yeah.
a very hard hitting documentary with no easy answers in
Hmm.
like in place. So in that documentary, there is this old Ladakhi folk song that translated into "Take it easy, easy does it," and
Okay.
which, if you see, is TD is an acronym for that.
Hmm.
And So that was the inspiration of naming it TD, and also the fact
Mhm.
that we invented the word, so it makes it easier for people to find us. We've trademarked
Mm.
it, and we know that okay, there is just one TD now.
Mhm. Yes, yes, right. So like you founded TD, and that's a very interesting reason behind the name. And so, what is therefore your mission? With TD, why did you? What did you plan to do? What is your vision?
Yeah, so for us, I think it took us a while because we were doing so many things from
Yeah.
regenerative tourism to holistic
Mm.
waste management to working with small farmers to actually
Mm.
understand what is it that was our core vision till the time that we arrived at it a couple of years back, which is
Mm.
uh, a line that summarizes everything that we do. Okay, so it
Yeah.
goes as pure air, fresh water, rich soil for all beings.
Wonderful.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's the vision of TD. And
Great.
our current
Great.
mission for, let's say, especially the waste management bit of it, because we are kind of
Mm.
focused on that right now, like a laser focus towards solving the waste management crisis in the hills, is
Mm.
to empower 1,000 climate action leaders in the um, youth community of Darjeeling, and
Mm.
to ensure that we are able to take off 5 million kgs of waste from the landfills and from the rivers, through that
Mm.
climate action leadership program that we do. So that's the current mission of TD.
Great, great. So, I actually visited TD recently, and the place was like a patch of, I would say, magic, a patch of miracle in Darjeeling. So, I mean, while setting up this place, like it's very different from the rest of the area, that if you surroundings where it's full of traffic and buildings and there's so much tourism and all, but TD is a patch of, I would say, miracle. So, when you initially went, then you had to set up TD and this entire, setup of permaculture and everything. So, what challenges did you face while doing so?
So I think we a lot of people say that okay, you're doing very things very differently than what everyone else is doing, and they say you're swimming against the tide, and we tell them no, we correct them saying that yeah, we are not swimming against the tide, we are swimming against the tsunami, because
Mm-hmm.
everyone else seems to aspire to build with cement. They
Yes.
seem to aspire to take up a work outside, either
Hmm.
in like companies like Facebook, Instagram, and
Hmm.
any Google and stuff. Whereas we are trying to get back to the roots and trying to see
Hmm.
how we can tap into the knowledge that we have inherited, or we should
Hmm.
have inherited from our ancestors.
Hmm.
So this change in mindset took a while for us to kind of develop a core team. But now that we
Hmm.
have a core team, we are quite um, strong in the sense that there are not just one or two people who believe in the idea of TD, but there is this whole um, you can say an army of people who believe in our causes and who
Hmm.
are willing to take up cudgels to again, like for this cause called the zero waste Andolan. So
Right.
getting the people to believe in the cause was the most difficult thing, and as it
Hmm.
is for any other startup, the funds was an issue, but
Hmm.
then I think the universe conspires, and we've had like
Yeah.
great partners, either through people who've come and given their contribution through volunteering, or even
Hmm.
our CSR partner right now who's been
Hmm.
backing us very strongly, like DCB Bank. Right? So
Hmm.
uh, we feel that we are slowly overcoming those initial challenges that we came
Hmm.
across.
Great, great to know. It's true. The universe conspires to help people who have this noble mission. So that's great. So, and now coming to actually what the work that is done in TD. And when I went there, I came to learn about the terms permaculture. I'd heard about it before, but like not really known about it. So permaculture, you call yourself a forest gardener. So can you explain these terms, to the people, the normal people who don't know about them?
Sure. So, permaculture, I think, in a very simple description, would mean the art and science are working together with Mother Nature. And it is not just about growing food, but it is
Hmm.
just about a way of life, a better way of life, I would say. And when we looking at it from a of growing food perspective, we realize that when we started farming is when
Hmm.
we took a direction that was against Mother Nature in terms of how we
Hmm.
started growing food and
Hmm.
what we call farming in
Hmm.
modern day terms, right? So that's why it is about going back to a, a horticultural society where you
Hmm.
grow food without really damaging the ecosystem around. Because
Hmm.
currently we are growing food with a very short myopic vision, saying that hey, we're growing food for a few years, maybe a decade or a little more, but then after that we just leave the land to desertify, right? So,
Hmm.
and that is
Hmm.
something that has happened almost in every um, a space where people have taken up growing food at a large scale. So,
Hmm.
whereas in case of permaculture, we call it regenerative practice, wherein you first grow a forest and then you grow the food within it and around it. Right? So,
Hmm.
first you give back to the soil before you decide to take from it. So that's why all these things about no-till farming or multi-cropping and
Hmm.
understanding the indigenous species, both
Hmm.
flora and fauna, and how do you kind of build a win-win ecology, what we also call the
Hmm.
reconciliation ecology. So that's how permaculture is interesting from the growing food perspective. From the perspective of buildings, we experiment a lot with natural buildings, and
Hmm.
it's where you're trying to see how much you can cut down the carbon footprint of the building that
Hmm.
you're doing, right?
Hmm.
So using a lot of local renewable resources like bamboo, mud, stones, and using a
Hmm.
lot of local resources in terms of the knowledge systems that we have
Hmm.
prevalent in the society where our
Hmm.
ancestors used to work a lot of bamboo, right? So there is an
Yes.
architectural heritage also that we need to be proud about. So we're trying to
Hmm.
work, trying to revive that. It's a journey,
Yeah.
and it's a constantly learning, unlearning, relearning journey.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting how you're using the ancient beliefs with modern knowledge, and you have set up this permaculture, thriving permaculture system at TD. And since we're talking about going back to ancient and also what about the importance of native plant species, like you in permaculture setup? So how important is that to focus on only planting natives?
Um, so, I mean, just to kind of clarify, like in this day and age,
Yeah.
when there has been so much of cross pollination that has happened over the
Hmm.
last thousands of years,
Hmm.
um, what is native is slightly questionable. Okay,
Hmm.
where what we generally believe that would be from a particular place might have been introduced by someone some time ago. So I
Okay.
think more than going after native species, you need to look at what are the complementary species and what are the non-invasive species. That is
Hmm.
very, very important.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
complementing to that particular local ecosystem, and
Hmm.
something that complements to that microclimate. And if it
Right.
kind of is a check mark on that, and it
Uh-huh.
helps with the biodiversity of a particular place, then I
Right.
would say the argument needs to go beyond just focusing on native species. You need to
Right.
look at what is the more complementing complement it what complements for that particular ecosystem,
Right.
without it
Right.
being invasive. So invasive, definitely no, but
Right.
we need to move a little beyond just restricting ourselves and saying no, I'm going to go only with native species.
Okay, yes, yes, perfectly explained. I understand totally what you're saying. This, thank you for this perspective. And also, So now, going further into the work that you're doing at TD, so permaculture is one of the practices, and along with all that, also, when went there, I saw there's so much work going on, like especially the zero waste andolan and the work that is going on. So can you please tell us about the different projects that are going on in TD?
Sure. So
Yeah.
there is the responsible regenerative tourism aspect of it, where we are
Mm-hmm.
trying to welcome uh, tourists
Mm-hmm.
who go beyond just going to a place from seeing the place and coming back. We want it to
Right.
be a culturally immersive experience. We want it to be,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how travel should be, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
uh, the travel industry in itself is a double-edged sword. If you um, are able to encourage it in the right way, then the local economy would pick up, and there would also be a lot of exchange of ideas with people coming in from outside, adding value to the place. But
Mm-hmm.
if you encourage it wrongly, then you destroy the social fabric of the place, okay, which I see
Yes.
happening a lot in the hills these days. There are
Mm,
more
mm,
homestays than homes in most of the villages.
mm, mm,
So, the regenerative tourism project was to invite travelers to
mm,
stay in mud buildings that we build and be
mm,
part of actually the initiatives that we take. So that's why a lot of our guests end up
mm,
becoming volunteers, and some of those volunteers end up becoming part of the core TED team. So that has been
mm,
the journey that we see that has
mm,
happened. So
mm,
that's the kind of engagement that I think we are looking at. The
mm,
other project that we're doing is, yes, the decentralized and holistic waste management project,
mm,
where we're trying
mhm,
to encourage people to go zero waste
mhm,
at household level or at an institute level or
mm.
at a community level.
Right.
So how does that
Right.
work? Is you sign a pledge that says, I will not dump in the landfills,
Mm,
I will not burn my waste.
mm,
So then the question arises, so what will you do to waste? The first thing is to reduce. So you
mm,
need to reduce waste generation. You need to kind of cut off certain types of waste from getting generated at all, because now there are
mm,
options, and that's healthier for you and for the planet.
mm,
Like for instance,
mm,
menstrual cups, or something that is known as period panties instead of those
mm,
extremely toxic sanitary pads.
mm,
Then you have reusable diapers instead of those, again, extremely toxic
mm,
Huggies and Pampers diapers that you have in the market. And
mm,
similarly, there are many. After that, you need to look at, okay, biodegradable, non-biodegradable waste. Do I compost it at home, biodegradable, or is there a facility that helps me compost my biodegradable waste? With
mm,
regards to non-biodegradable waste, you need to keep it clean and dry. As long as you
mm,
keep it clean and dry, there are higher chances for it to be recovered in a materials
mm.
recovery facility like we have built in TD. So
Right.
right now, uh, we have the only operational materials recovery facility in the entire hills of Darjeeling and Kalimpong. And
Mm-hmm.
the next step in this is for us to convert this slowly or make it evolve into a waste innovation center, where we do
Mm,
not have to send the waste away from our materials recovery
mm,
facility. It gets
mm,
processed within the facility itself by designers and artisans. So it becomes like
mm,
an artisan, a design hub that
mm,
is um drawing in artists who are willing to work with waste to convert that
mm,
into an upcycle product rather than recycle product.
mm.
So that
Okay.
is the project with regards to waste management.
Mm,
And then we have another
mm,
project called Everyday Environmentalism, which is working very closely with local institutes, schools, and colleges
mhm,
to
mhm,
empower the students to learn and practice environmentalism in a very experiential way.
mhm, mhm,
Uh, so there has been a success story where we have Darjeeling Montessori House of Children, a school in Darjeeling,
mhm,
that
mhm,
we've been working with for the last 4 years. They have
mhm.
managed to convert 300 households at zero waste by the
Wow.
students. 300
Mhm,
households at zero waste
mhm,
just by one
mhm,
school. And it's a very small school. So that's the
mhm,
kind of impact that you have working with the student community. And
mhm,
recently, we launched something called a climate action leadership program, for which
mhm,
we are also looking out for funding to kind of scale it up a lot more to many more regions,
Hmm.
which is basically working with the college students and
Hmm.
offering them internship program where they're getting paid. So then that takes care of their motivation to be part of the program, and
Hmm.
also empowering them with knowledge about how to work with the community to solve some of the common everyday problems that they see around them, whether it could be
Hmm.
with waste management or it could
Hmm.
be with degrading quality of air, water, and soil, or
Hmm.
working with, like, small farmers.
Hmm.
So that's something that we've been doing, and it got kind of recognition at a national level where we invited to
Hmm.
present this as a topic in the Rising Bharat Summit in
Hmm.
Delhi that happened recently, where that was
Hmm.
organized by CNN TV 18. And five
Hmm.
of our students from the villages of Darjeeling who had probably never even gone out beyond Siliguri got a chance to catch
Hmm.
the first flight, stay
Wonderful.
uh, uh, a place like Delhi and get to
Hmm.
meet the Prime Minister of India.
That's great.
So
Hmm.
there is a lot of potential to kind of include this in the national education policy to for
Yes.
us to be able to tap the demographic dividend that we see, a very short window that we have in India.
Hmm.
So we presented it as a white paper to the
Hmm.
PMO. So let's
Hmm.
see where that goes.
Yes, so it's amazing how TD is basically covering, I mean, or producing solutions to all the issues that are today plaguing our Himalayan ecosystem, and also, of course, the other ecosystems, including, as you mentioned, irresponsible tourism. Then there is um also waste accumulation everywhere, and you're also working with the youth to create youth leaders and all that. So it's like amazing the amount of work that's happening at TD. So, I think the next question is basically you kind of answer, because from what I came to know, like what you are said just now, it shows that there's a lot of people involvement in your project. So, the next question is actually about local community in Darjeeling, and how has their response been to TD's efforts at rebuilding this degraded ecosystem?
Mhm. Sorry, I lost the last bit of it. Can you
So,
repeat
yeah,
the
so
question?
I mean, so you already mentioned like about the work you're doing, and that shows that there is a lot of involvement of people in your
Right.
projects.
Oh, absolutely.
So, in relation to that only, it's like an extension. So, how's the local community's response to TD's efforts at rebuilding the degraded ecosystems?
So we've had tremendous support, and
Hmm.
yet there are challenges that we face every single day also.
Hmm.
So it's um, and it is what it is across the world when you work with people as such. We tend to think
Hmm.
that, okay, this community is more responsive or that community is more responsive. It's about
Hmm.
creating something of value that motivates people to work, and the motivation to come from within themselves rather than you trying to take a moral high ground and telling them that this is right or this is wrong.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
without the local community support, I don't think we would have reached where we are with this journey.
Hmm.
With their support, we launched a couple of zero waste villages, and
Hmm.
with this very strong support of some of the community members who have joined TD, we wouldn't have had built such a strong team that is there. So,
Hmm.
and these are people who otherwise, you know, would have to either move out to get
Hmm.
a very well-paying, meaningful job,
Hmm.
or they'd have to make do with working again in a sector that is actually very detrimental to the environment and also to their own health.
Hmm.
So yes, without people, there is no work that can be done, and we are kind of lucky to be able to rope in such motivated folks who are part of the
Hmm.
team.
Right, right. Beautiful. I mean, local community is always the key to every solution. And so finally, so as a person who is well traveled, well read, and you have done a lot of research on your own, and you have set up this massive machinery of working, like machinery of TT, where so much work is going on. So, what do you think? How can this, or whether this system can be replicated in other places in the Himalayan ecosystem or even elsewhere? So what do you think is the scope of that?
Um, I think there are already a lot of people and organizations that's
Hmm.
doing wonderful work across the Himalayas,
Hmm.
if not more than what we are doing.
Hmm.
Then um, I think what I see as transformational development is if any person or an organization has those three foundational things in place, which we also call
Hmm.
the tripod model of development now, which
Hmm.
is if you have a very strong grassroots, bottom up, community
Hmm.
led and involved movement
Hmm.
uh, that is supported by top down policy support, where the government
Hmm.
also supports you with policies as and when you involve.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
both these legs of the tripod being supported by the third leg, which is,
Hmm.
and this is a side on support that supports the bottom up, top down, and a side up support through
Hmm.
partnerships, right? Partnerships
Right.
between organizations, partnership between organizations and governments, and CSR partnerships, EPR partnerships,
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
there is funding support, and there
Yes.
is, say, organizational development support, and there is
Hmm.
communication support where the work
Hmm.
is being widely spread by
Hmm.
different channels, so that
Hmm.
like people can get drawn towards a particular line of work. So as long
Hmm.
as these legs of the tripod is in place, you can shoot for
Yeah.
the moon.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. True, true, yes, true. And definitely, we can do so much if, as you mentioned, the three legs of the tripod are stable. And so, thank you for explaining all this. And also, like, it's just about not just about the work TD is doing, but also more specifically, if I say permaculture, how applicable is it like to other agricultural ecosystems in India? Like, since one who is practicing an active practitioner of permaculture, how do you think? What do you think is the scope of permaculture also?
Um, Honestly, that's the only solution that I see for us to come out of the food crisis that we are going through right now.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because we might be thinking that we have moved beyond not being able to feed our people, and
Hmm.
we have enough, like, grains in the stock to be able to feed people. But what we don't realize is some of those food that we are growing, in the
Hmm.
name of food, it has become like empty with regards to nutrition, and sometimes even more toxic, right?
Yes.
So we need to kind of stop growing things by pushing chemicals into the soil, and
Hmm.
we need to be able to also uh, look at reviving what was already a very rich culture that we had, of
Hmm.
what you
Hmm.
may call it permaculture, or you may call it like any kind of culture. We actually have started calling it Purkhoka culture instead of just
Okay.
permaculture.
Okay.
Permaculture seems to be a very distant term. So, but when you
Mm-hmm.
call it Purkhoka culture, that
Mm-hmm.
is the culture of what our ancestors used to practice, it makes much
Uh-huh.
more sense to the villagers also. Because
Yes.
then
Yes.
they look back also, they realize, yes, they used to grow millets earlier, and it was
Mm-hmm.
without the need of those chemicals, and we used to save
Hmm.
our own seeds. We didn't have to go to a store to buy seeds, and
Yes.
why
Yes.
is it that there is dependency now, that we have
Hmm.
to go to the store to buy seeds? And why is it that the seeds that we buy cannot give us any more seeds, that we have to again go back to buy seeds? So we
Hmm.
need to uh, take away the corporate control over our
Hmm.
farms, fight for
Hmm.
our seed sovereignty, and
Hmm.
we need to be able to uh, revive and also protect what we have as a very rich heritage of food
Hmm.
diversity that we had in India. And
Yes.
that
Yes.
permaculture gives you a framework, it gives you design
Hmm.
principles, and there are a lot of practitioners right now who would be able to help small farmers in converting their farms into forest gardens.
Hmm. Right. I mean, I love the term Purkoka culture. It's really something we should definitely adopt in not just food, but also I think many things in our lives now that we have become so consumer oriented and we definitely need to go back to our ancient, rich cultural ecosystems we had. So, fine. So, like, with all this and so much work you're doing, this is amazing, and you are bringing in so much change. So, like, what are your what are you looking forward to at TD in the coming times? How do you want to see TD maybe in 10 years' time?
Uh, I think
Yeah.
um, for us as a forest,
Hmm.
we want to be the one that is able to disperse the seeds of change across every region as such.
Beautiful, huh? Right. Hmm.
We want to be able to, uh, let's say, not replicate TD across different
Hmm.
places, but rather disperse the seeds that has come out from a forest so that every
Hmm.
place has their own ecosystem that is more forest like, that is
Hmm.
more biodiverse, that is more
Hmm.
fulfilling, that gives people and uh, the flora and the fauna a very
Hmm.
you can say a win-win ecology where
Hmm.
people benefit, the ecosystem benefits with what people are doing, and it is possible. It is possible, and the model that we have experimented has not just given us a lot of joy, but I'm sure gives people a lot of hope when they see us that we still, despite all the paddling that people don't see
Hmm.
under the water, we still have a head
Hmm.
over the water and we're still smiling.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I do hope that the seeds of TD basically disperses as far as possible. It's so needed at the present time. And so finally, as a youth leader, I have seen how your like juniors at TD, they are so enthusiastic about your leadership, and they work for work for you. They love working for you because they are also doing a part of this change, and this is a very noble cause they are working for, and for your under your leadership. So, as a youth leader, what is your message to the youth of not just Darjeeling but also beyond about how what they should do to protect the environment, how they should participate in doing so?
I think first and foremost, I would say come out of Instagram, Facebook, or all social media
Mhm.
channels.
Yeah.
Get
Mhm.
out and go hug a tree and look up to the sky, both the day
Mhm.
sky as well as the night sky,
Mhm.
and just connect to the environment around. Because right now, the connection is broken, and we've been so connected to the World Wide Web and now the dangers of AI that
Mhm.
we have disconnected ourselves to the real world, because unless and
Mhm.
until the connection is being reset, there is very little that you can exchange in terms of forms of energy. So
Mhm.
more important right now to disconnect from the World Wide Web and to connect
Mhm.
yourself to the World Wide Web, which is actually the
Yes.
world's first internet.
Mhm.
We are all part of it, and
Yes.
it is something that is there underneath the soil. It's an information highway, and in
Mhm.
some sense, we are part of that. And
Yes.
if you are able to slowly disconnect yourself from this extremely detrimental forms of uh,
Mhm.
like network that is
Mhm.
causing brain rot, you move away
Mhm.
from it, then automatically you don't have to do much, so the nature would automatically start giving you more answers, because you are
Mhm.
not different from a tree. You
Mhm.
we all have the same ancestors, right? So
Mhm.
if you, when you cut the tree and you look at the stump of a tree, it mimics
Mhm.
exactly how our fingerprints look, right? So there is
Yes.
a lot of connection that we already have. So first and foremost, reconnect to nature. Get out
Mhm.
from the network of uh, the AI and the internet.
Mhm.
And second
Mhm.
is you don't have to look to go somewhere else to earn a good, honest living. And
Mhm.
second, you don't have to, um, uh, you know, think that the only form of development is the one which gives you um, a big house, a big car, and
Yes.
having to buy oxygen cans to breathe, and having to
Mhm.
buy water in a plastic bottle to
Mhm.
quench it. forest, right? The real wealth lies in the fact that you are able to breathe in pure air, you are able to drink in water straight from your streams, and you are
Yes.
able to grow food in a soil
Hmm.
that is really, really rich. The moment that we realize that those are the real forms of wealth, then I
Hmm.
think the answers would come by
Yes.
itself. So each one their own, but this is the
Hmm.
pathway that I think would be interesting for people to adopt. And this again does not mean that you have to be an ascetic, that you have to give up on creative thinking, that you have to give up on your life. There can
Yes.
be a lot of creative work being done in the sector, and all of
Yes.
these regenerative work, and you will come across a lot more interesting people when you start walking this path rather
Hmm.
than path that seems to be taking us like on a very fast moving train, but it's going up the cliff, or you're climbing
Yes.
the ladder of so-called success, but then you realize the
Hmm.
ladder itself is leaning against the wrong wall.
Hmm. Yes, yes. Thank you. So for this very inspirational message, I think it's not just for the youth, for everyone should listen to this and follow what he said actually. And definitely it will help us build a much happier, healthier, and like a thriving, beautiful world for all of us. And I would say that to the listeners today, that do not just listen here online, but go and visit TD, stay with TD for a few days, weeks, and if possible, volunteer. And you come back changed, and you'll have a different perspective of the world around you and what you can do to change it for the better. So thank you, thank you once again for your time and for coming on this podcast. It was a pleasure and a privilege speaking with you.
Thank you, Dr. Oshimaya, and like we say here, may the forest be with you.
Absolutely. Thank you.